Welcome back to USA Fans. Stop what you are doing for the next few minutes. Turn off the distractions because the news we have all been waiting for, the structural turning point for the Iraqi Dinar, has finally arrived. The Tier 4B redemption framework is officially approved. For years, this community has existed on breadcrumbs of information, rumors, and endless gurus promising dates that never came. We have weathered the storms of doubt together. But today, the landscape has fundamentally shifted. We are no longer talking about theories, we are talking about completed infrastructure. When that news broke, the immediate reaction across the globe was a massive sigh of relief, followed instantly by the single most important financial question of our lives. Okay, the bank is built, but what is the value of the money inside the vault? Is this Tier 4B system built for a dime? Is it built for a quarter? Or is the approval of this massive world-class banking structure the final, undeniable proof that the projected rates of $3.22, $4.65, or even higher are now locked into reality? In this special report, we are going to do what few others are willing to do. We are going to move past the headlines. We are going to forensically connect the dots between the architecture they just approved and the money in your hand. We will explain why you do not build a financial Ferrari just to drive it like a golf cart. Stay with me. The deep dive begins right now. To understand where the rate is going, you must first fundamentally understand what Tier 4B approval actually means. It is a term thrown around loosely, but its implications are staggering. Before this approval, Iraq's financial system was, frankly, disconnected. It was like a house with old rusted plumbing that wasn't hooked up to the city water main. You couldn't flow high pressure through it. The pipes would burst. International banks didn't trust it due to fears of money laundering and terrorism financing. So, what is Tier 4B? Tier 4B is the completion of the new plumbing. It is the integration of Iraq into the absolute highest standards of global digital finance, specifically standards like ISO 20022. This approval means that the gatekeepers of the global financial system, the IMF, the World Bank, the major international clearinghouses, have audited Iraq's new system and certified it as secure, transparent, and ready for the big leagues. It means an Iraqi bank can now communicate instantly and securely with a bank in New York, London, or Zurich, moving massive amounts of capital without red flags going up every 5 seconds. Why is this crucial for you? Because you cannot have a global currency revaluation without this mechanism. You cannot introduce a currency worth $4 on the global stage if your banking computers can't talk to Wall Street's computers. Prime Minister al-Sudani and the central bank governor understood this. They took the heat. They took the criticism for the delays. Why? Because they were busy building the only infrastructure that could make a real revaluation possible. The approval is not just a signature on a paper, it is the green light for global connectivity. Now here is where we separate the noise from the logic. This is the core of our presentation today. If we agree, as the facts state, that Tier 4B is a massive, high-security, high-speed international banking superhighway, we must ask the logical next question. What kind of traffic was this superhighway built for? Think about the investment Iraq has made, the billions spent on technology, the years spent training banking staff, the relentless diplomatic push to get off the gray list and gain this approval. Would any sane nation go through this monumental 10-year effort just to revalue their currency to 10 cents? Does that make any logical sense? Do you build an aircraft carrier just to launch a paper airplane? Of course not. The sheer scale and sophistication of the Tier 4B infrastructure is the single greatest physical indicator of the intended value of the currency. The architecture dictates the asset. If the plan was a low rate, a simple deletion of zeros to make the currency look better domestically but still hold little value internationally, they did not need Tier 4B. The old rusted system could have handled pennies. The fact that they fought so hard for this specific high-level approval tells us they are preparing for high-level transactions. Let's look at the reality of Iraq. It is a behemoth of natural resources, second largest OPEC producer, massive gold reserves, natural gas that Europe is desperate for. Yet for 20 years, their currency has been insulted on the world stage. It has been kept artificially low to ensure they sell their oil cheap and remain dependent on the US dollar. But the wind has changed. Iraq is demanding economic sovereignty, and you cannot have sovereignty if your currency is trash outside your own borders. To rebuild the nation and sign massive contracts with global firms, they need purchasing power parity. This is why the rates we discuss, the 322s, the 4.65s, are not just hopium, they are economic necessities for the Iraq that is emerging right now. When you combine Iraq's intrinsic resource wealth with the newly approved Tier 4B mechanism designed to manage that wealth, a high rate shifts from being a possibility to the most logical economic outcome. The system is primed for power. I know what you're thinking right now. I can feel the frustration through the screen. You're saying, okay, USA fans, if it's approved, if the system is built for a high rate, why am I still looking at the same rate on my screen today? This is the hardest part of the journey, the gap between readiness and activation. We must distinguish between the construction of the weapon and the pulling of the trigger. The Tier 4B approval means the weapon is built, loaded, and aimed, but the final decision to pull the trigger rests with the sovereign authority of the Central Bank of Iraq, timed for maximum strategic advantage. We've also heard the confusing term gradual rollout. Many of you fear this means the rate will start low and take 10 years to reach $4. Let me offer a different perspective based on this new approval. When bankers speak of a gradual rollout regarding a system as powerful as Tier 4B, they are often referring to the process of access, not necessarily the value. Imagine opening a massive hydroelectric dam. You don't just blow up the wall instantly. You open the spillways systematically so you don't flood the valley below. A gradual rollout likely means managing the flow of redemptions to ensure bank personnel aren't overwhelmed, that security checks are met, and that liquidity is managed. But the rate itself? For the dinar to function internationally as intended by this new system, it needs to enter the stage with strength. A currency that slowly climbs from pennies over years does not solve Iraq's immediate need for international purchasing power. The Tier 4B system is built to handle the shock of a significant value change. Do not let the word gradual steal your hope regarding the ultimate value. We are in the end zone now, and this is historically the most dangerous time for investors because the news of Tier 4B approval is real. The predators are circling. You will see an increase in scams, people offering you early exchange programs, people claiming they have private back channels into the Tier 4B system and need your dinar now to secure a spot. Listen to me very carefully. There are no back channels. The entire purpose of Tier 4B was to eliminate the shadows and bring Iraq into the bright light of the international banking system. If someone is trying to get you to hand over your currency outside of a legitimate, seated banking appointment after the rate is officially public, they are trying to steal your future. You have waited years. Do not let impatience trip you up on the final yard line. The approved system is the only system that matters. Discipline now is your most valuable asset. So, to answer the question we started with 20 minutes ago, is the $4.65 plus rate now locked in? Here's the verdict. The engine required to handle a $4.65 rate is absolutely locked in. The justification for a low rate has crumbled to dust with this approval. They built a fortress for a king, not a shack for a pauper. The architecture is complete. The intent is undeniable. Now we watch for the final execution. Stay grounded, stay disciplined, and keep your eyes locked right here on USA Fans, because when that final shoe drops, we will be here to break it down. Thank you for watching this deep dive. We'll see you on the next update.